Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms in the world of professional wrestling, all the action inside and out, backstage curtain drama. Also, talk about promotions from WWE, the AEW, to New Japan Professional Wrestling, to sometimes, the NWA, also the MLW. If it makes major news headlines, we talk about it here on the show. 1010%. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Obviously, we have a lot on tap today, but first and foremost, hope you guys had an amazing Tuesday. Hope you guys had a great Monday. I know sometimes it's hard to, kind of get back into the old grind, especially with the NFL season up, with barbecue and friends and a couple of drinks over the weekend. Of course, it's it's hard to get back into the grind, but at least we have professional wrestling to kind of help us out through the week. You have Monday Night Raw, then you have Tuesday NXT, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, and then on Thursday you have Ring of Honor and TNA, and also on Friday you have SmackDown. So wrestling's always there for me. That I guess that's a reason why I've always been a huge fan of wrestling. Always keep some excitement in your life and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So definitely 1010%. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez. Like I said, today we have a jam-packed show. We have our WWE Monday Night Raw review. And then we're going to talk about some NXT. NXT tonight, obviously, it's happening right now. Got it pre-recorded, so I can't wait to watch it as soon as the show is over. Also, we're going to talk about Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, I'm going to give you guys, her return update. A couple of, articles and reports have been stated in terms of, in media with wrestling and stuff like that. So we're going to dig into that. Fourth segment, it's been reported that Mercedes Mone is receiving special treatment by AEW higher ups during PLEs or pay-per-views, or just I think in every event, in every aspect of that. So we're going to talk about that. And finally, in our fifth segment, something we do every Tuesday night, we're going to jump into my DeLorean, gun it to 88, and we're going to go back in time, and we're going to talk about Tuesdays today in wrestling history. We're going to talk about, some crazy stuff that's happened on this day, but, back in time into professional wrestling, kind of aura, I guess you can say. All right, but before we do any of that, I know it sounds exciting and and you can't wait. So we're gonna, but first I gotta, mention the super chat. Obviously, you guys have, feel comfortable to drop in whatever you want inside the chat. If you have a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you're dying to get off your chest, we are all ears here at the GSMC Sports Network, and it's all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure you guys feel part of the mix. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside the chat, and it really does make a difference, guys. So make sure you comment or question. And if you wanted to get noticed, why not use that super chat? It's that $ below the chat box. Send in your message, and it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network. Your super chats obviously helps us keep the lights on, brings you even more, sports content, in this case, wrestling content. So absolutely, thank you guys so much. We are so super grateful for each and every one of you guys who join us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And once again, if you're not, if you don't want to hit up the super chat, we are still at gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your takes in terms of professional wrestling. Just remember the Superman punch, that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network for more awesome content. Also here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, but obviously criticism, it's part of the job. Obviously I appreciate it. Feedback is a gift. So yeah, guys, don't be shy, and let's all be a part of this awesome wrestling podcast. 1010%. All right, so first we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was actually decent. A lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. I kind of mentioned last show that right now, since you have 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, you kind of have to start prepping for, some storylines to kind of be bigger and better. Under the Triple H's Paul Levesque era, his philosophy is quality over quantity. That's why they're moving Monday Night Raw to 2 hours. October 7th, I think it is. I think it's October 7th. And there's a lot of storylines that unfolded tonight, and I was like, you know what? A couple of flags went up, and I was like, okay, that seems like it makes sense. First and foremost, CM Punk came out to address the sorry, the WWE universe. It was, you know, the best thing I kind of liked about it was the fact that he was kind of making it seem like nobody in his family wanted him to, be in this hellacious match, inside of a steel cage, obviously the Hell in the Cell, with someone who obviously wants to hurt him, and Drew McIntyre. I kind of, thought it was crazy. I kind of liked it how he talked crap on the whole, WWE booking them in a strap match. So I thought that was kind of cool. He was like, oh, and then I thought people thought touching four corners it was gonna end. Like, you know what I mean? It was, it was kind of funny. I was like, it seemed like he was, kind of poking fun at it. And he said he doesn't want to be in the Hell in the Cell. Obviously, he feels like he has to. Drew McIntyre has woken up the devil inside of CM Punk, and he said he's gonna make him bleed. And he said if you want to win this match, you basically got to kill me. The I feel like CM Punk is definitely using a lot of his professional wrestling experience inside the ring. CM Punk's not afraid to take a big bump. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to be busted open and just blood all over his face. Drew McIntyre, on the other hand, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I think I was looking for like I was making a graphic or something like that, and I was like, oh, I'm Drew McIntyre. I kind of want to see what he looks like with blood on his face. And you check on Google, and nothing's there. Obviously, and I'm not saying he's like a priss and he's not willing to do it, but I think to make this feud finally be over with the frosting on top and then the cherry on top, I think he's got to bleed. I think he's got to bleed. I think, both of these guys are going to be a complete, utter bloody mess after this match has ended because this rivalry does need to end. It's been going on since WrestleMania. Obviously, once when CM Punk came back from injury, once when Drew McIntyre got cleared to fight, it took a little, for that to kind of happen. And then these guys have been trading back and forth promos, beating each other up, getting their arses kicked, going to the hospital, and it's like wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. The bracelet, you know what I mean? But all in all, I feel like it needs to end that way. It needs to end with with everybody absolutely in shock. All the audiences in shock because they're not used to seeing this much blood. Obviously, it's called bad blood for a reason. This match should have a lot of blood. And nowadays WWE, without cutting and taking like weapons to the face, obviously under the new Triple H Paul Levesque era, it was kind of foretold that WWE always thought of themselves highly. They thought of themselves highly. They're like, all right, we put on great matches, so we don't need to incorporate chairs and blood and protect our superstars because there are some instances where cutting kind of did go wrong. I think there was a match with Eddie Guerrero and I think it was JBL. I think it was JBL where he cut too deep and he was just bloody and he was passing out inside the ring and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good look, obviously. So I definitely think that's probably where they should take it, but it should be, I don't know, it should be pretty awesome. Next, we have Sheamus taking on Pete Dunne. Like I said, Pete Dunne is a beast, man. He just got done fighting in a last man standing match um, with Trick Williams on NXT last Tuesday. Takes on Sheamus. Brought out a cricket bat. I thought that was pretty cool. Incorporating a new kind of sport instead of the shillelagh. And kind of helped Pete Dunne finally get back into that win column, which I knew he was capable of going through. I knew uh, WWE really wasn't going to give up on his character. I think he has a better chance in NXT right now. I feel like, with everything happening in Monday Night Raw, I want to see maybe a reunion between him and Ridge Holland. That seems like that would, be a pretty good storyline. They go after the tag team titles, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. That'd be pretty interesting. And then we saw a warming, like a warmful promo with Xavier Woods, basically saying that, telling Priest and Rhea Ripley to not get involved in the match because it's just gonna do hurt. And later on, we found out that's exactly what happened. But the Rhea Ripley and Damien Priest, they stuck to their word. They stuck to their word. And, I kind of liked it. They were backstage. They were shaking hands once again. We'll get into that. We'll get into this. So I don't want to jump the gun too much. Next, we saw Natalia once again defeat Zoe Stark with the roll up for the dub. This Pure Fusion Collective storyline, this faction has kind of gone downhill faster than it ever had a chance of being successful. And, that's a damn shame because Shayna Baszler, very talented. Zoe Stark is very talented inside the ring. Sonya Deville, she's all right. But I literally thought that Sonya Deville was gonna bring these two girls out of like dust and make them, into stars and stuff like that. And obviously, it doesn't seem like that's going on. I feel like in the women's division right now, there's I don't know, maybe there is too much going on for that to happen. But kind of moving forward, I think Natalia is going to be more of a force to be reckoned with inside WWE. It would be so crazy if once when WWE started the Women's Intercontinental United States Championship match that she would probably be one of the best spot for like an inaugural championship title holder. She has the experience, inside the ring, and she's still under prime. She's still very young. She's still kicking ass, and she's still under prime, and she can definitely do it. So Natalia defeats Zoe Stark. Next, we see Rhea Ripley in an interview, quickly interrupted by Finn Balor, blaming Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, saying that we were a family. And, basically, he said he was the devil on Dom's shoulder, telling him to, have engagements with Liv Morgan because Rhea Ripley, doesn't care about the family. They kicked him out. They're wearing shirts that says trailer trash. And, this new and improved Judgment Day. I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. I know WWE is probably just going to drag it out until it probably gets to the point where they all just kind of disband, which would be the right move. I feel like, keeping them together right now, people just aren't interested. People just aren't interested. Well, it for the longest time, you thought about Monday Night Raw. You thought about Monday Night Raw, they had the storyline between the Judgment Day. You had, Damian Priest as the main guy. You had the tag team of JD McDonagh and Finn Balor. That doesn't make any sense anymore. And then you had Dirty Dom kind of being that like, that the guy who would always want to be better than his father never could do it. And Rhea Ripley was dominating the women's division. It served the purpose. It made sense. Now it's just, Liv Morgan, she's not a great champion. She's not a great champion. I've often, compared her. She's a better chaser of the champion than she is a championship holder. Nothing against Liv, not that I'm trying to throw shade or anything like that. I think anybody who steps between those ropes are absolutely very successful, very, determined and hardworking. But from an outside perspective, from a WWE perspective, playing into the storylines, I don't know. I just don't really see that with Liv, and it kind of sucks. I wish I would. Maybe I wish I would. Jey Uso came face to face with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker basically stated that Jey Uso was absolutely nothing without his family. And then Jey Uso fired back, the match, your title reign's going to be short and sweet, much like your NFL career. And then he hit the spear on Braun Breaker. And, until that, obviously Jey Uso kind of walked out with a little bit of swagger. Iyo Sky takes Kairi Sane's place against Bianca Belair later on that night in the match because of Kairi Sane's injury to her eye. Tag team title match. It was a great match. Overall, I thought it was one of the best matchups of the evening. The ref was distracted. Kofi Kingston went out there to take out everybody, the LWO and Judgment Day. And the referee was distracted. He was outside of the ring, and it was all hell broke loose. Like, it was crazy. Woods absolutely frustrated after the loss. And later on, you had Kofi Kingston kind of confront his partner, his longtime partner, and his brother. And, he was basically said, with just me and you, we don't have Big E anymore. And, Xavier Woods kind of took offense to that. These guys obviously are heading toward a breakup. It should be interesting to see maybe how soon it's going to happen. I would honestly love to see these guys kind of, be champions one more time. Like they were saying, this would have made their 13th run as WWE Tag Team Champions of some sort. And he was just, he was just frustrated. He said he feels like he's not good enough. And without Big E, he says that they could win. Obviously, once when Xavier Woods found out that Kofi Kingston asked the LWO to watch their backs, he was frustrated because he went out of his way to tell Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest not to get involved because of this exactly what happened. And so he blames Kofi Kingston. That's why it happened. But Kofi did have a good point. He said this would have happened anyways. they would have got disqualified because they would have came in and beat the hell out of us. So it seems like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of point. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed, not really much to say about this match. The beginning of the match started kind of crazy with the top rope snapping and absolute carnage followed. They went through a drywall, they went through tables, they went through the barricade. Like it was your standard, like, let's make these monsters look like, crazy and indestructible. So definitely it was decent. Next we saw a promo with Sami Zayn. Um it was decent. It was a decent promo. Basically, him not begging for a title shot, but just basically saying Gunther's afraid because he beat him for the Intercontinental Championship and ended his 666-day reign. And Sami Zayn did that at WrestleMania. And, Sami Zayn was trying to drive a wedge within Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther, which was actually kind of a smart move to kind of go. But then Kaiser obviously shows that he is very completed, very connected to Gunther, and he attacks Sami Zayn, and then Sami Zayn obviously, try to get the better of him, and Gunther once again says that you don't have a title shot, you're never going to be WWE World Heavyweight Champion as long as I draw breath, and as long as I hold the championship. So, kind of crazy. Next match, this match was probably the best match of the evening. It came between Bianca Belair and Iyo Sky. It was phenomenal. It was a great match. Oh, a lot of the times Iyo Sky has amazing matches. Bianca Belair has good matches too, but this match was insane. The suicide dive through the rope, it looked hard, man. These girls were taking bumps, and then like Bianca Belair had her in the suplex, had her jackknifed up there for a good 5 seconds walking up the steps. Man, this girl is absolutely 1,010% impressive. So both of these girls are impressive, and it all ended with Iyo Sky stealing the win. It was perfect. It was the perfect ending to a perfect match, and I loved it. Lastly, not really much to say about this. Dominic Mysterio taking on Damien Priest. Once when it looked like Dominic was gonna, pick up the L, all hell breaks loose once again. Once again, you have Damien Priest and Rhea Ripley taken down by this street trash or this new Judgment Day, however you like to call it. But overall, we all kind of knew what was going to happen. All right, guys. Well, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our next segment. We're going to talk about WWE NXT. Like I said, it's airing right now. I have not checked a single shred of social media, no Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or, wherever, because there's so many nowadays. It's crazy. So, yeah, we're going to talk about it when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Just going to reflect on what we talked about. We recently talked about WWE Monday Night Raw. kind of gave a little bit of a review about it. It was all in all, I thought it was a pretty decent show. I loved it 1,010%. So we're gonna talk about WWE NXT. We're gonna talk about it as after this little hype video right here, guys. Remember to hit up that super chat. Be a part of this show. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Whether if it's got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you've been dying to get off your chest, go ahead and drop that thought. I want to hear your voice. Don't be shy. Hit up the thoughts. Send your thoughts inside the chat, and we will talk about it. Let's keep this conversation going. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? It's that $ below the chat box. Sending your message, your opinion, your statement, whichever. And it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network to bring you even more awesome content that you guys love so dang much. You're absolutely super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep this party going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super, super duper awesome, and we can make this show bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And like I always say, if you don't want to hit up the super chat, we are still, you can find us at the gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But if you have some criticism, by all means, it's all part of wrestling talk. It happens. Feedback is a gift. So 1,010%. Make sure you guys, send in your opinions inside that chat box, and we can make this podcast a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, so now we're going to talk about some. Now we're going to talk about some NXT. NXT overall, it's heading toward the CW. It should be an amazing show. I honestly can't wait for it 1,010%. So yeah, let's go ahead and dig on it as soon as I find me notes here, Mike. All right, NXT preview tonight. Obviously, CM Punk looks like he has something to prove. Looks like he has something to say. Is it going to include Drew McIntyre? I kind of hope it doesn't. Keep the Drew McIntyre stuff on Monday Night Raw. I want to hear something crazy. He makes a special announcement. Obviously, their first show is going to be in Chicago, Illinois. He's anticipated to probably announce a match or maybe perhaps a tournament for, I don't know, if a new belt or for the number one contenders, kind of thing. I was, kind of speculations on, his wife, AJ Lee, returning to professional wrestling. It's already been showed that he, through social media and through wrestling news media, that he's been training with his wife. It would make a lot of sense for her to make a comeback, especially with the NXT needing a big star to kind of challenge somebody like Roxanne Perez, Jada Parker, Soruka, also Julia, also Stephanie Vaquer when she decides to kind of make her way inside of the ring. A lot you can see a lot of AJ Lee inside of Roxanne Perez. 1,010%. That's something that a lot of discourse around professional wrestling has become an agreement on. So. I can see speculations about maybe age. Obviously, this probably on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe has like a 2.5% chance of happening. Which he comes out, my wife is coming back, and this and that and the other, and it should be pretty interesting because you do have Julia taking on Roxanne Perez for that NXT Women's Championship. Maybe he announces that he's going to be the special guest referee. That could possibly be one of the things, one of the two. The special guest referee announcement seems probably fitting. I'm pretty sure that probably has a great chance. But it's gonna make an announcement tonight. I hope it's something big, something that for wrestling fans to kind of wrap their heads around. I think they kind of owe it to us to have that. Next, we have Lola Vice taking on JC Jane. This fatal influence with Jasmine Nix, Fallon Henley, and JC Jane has been running all over NXT. Jada Parker also is on the hunt for Lola Vice. You can probably bet on the first episode of the CW, you're gonna have these two girls looking for a third tag team partner. Maybe somebody comes to mind. Maybe a TNA star. That would be pretty badass. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Right now, no, Fatal Influence has just been rubbing the NXT women's locker room just, oh my God, the wrong way. It's crazy. everybody wants to kill him. Everybody wants a piece of him, which I guess in a way, even bad publicity is technically good publicity. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, and Lola Vice, she's impressive as hell. Every time she's inside of every time she's inside of a ring, she's, it's kind of nice that NXT could kind of have that, kind of have that former UFC fighter that a lot of people respect. But then again, they don't hype her up too much. Kind of like when you saw Shayna Baszler move on from NXT to the WWE main roster, when heard the debut of Ronda Rousey was going to happen. I think she kind of settled in, quite perfectly. I think, although she wasn't that like in your face, like that crazy, famous or anything like that. But I don't know, just her adjustment. It looks like she takes good bumps. She hits her spots, and it doesn't look like she hurts her her other competitors. So 1,010%, I think she's title worthy. There's no doubt in my mind that in the future she's probably gonna be holding a title. Would be interesting to kind of see, holding the NXT North American Championship, because her and Kaylani Jordan are kind of tight. It'd be kind of cool that once when they knock off Fatal Influence, Kehlani Jordan gives Lola Vice like a, kind of like a, not like a pity title shot, but like a, hey, since you kind of helped me out, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. That's kind of the philosophy in life, even in the professional world, or even like, talking to your neighbor back in the backyard, be like, hey, like, can I borrow this to do my lawn? And then once when they need something, then you scratch their back, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. That's how life is. So 1,010%. That's why in life, don't burn any bridges. Make sure you, have good acquaintances. Don't be such a jerk sometimes. Take it one day at a time. Treat other people like you want to be treating you. I'm not giving out life lessons. It's about wrestling. We're going to talk about wrestling. Wrestling. So tonight we have Lyra Valkyria teaming up with the always interesting, kind of funky Tatum Paxley, still playing with dolls. I thought it was kind of adorable because I have daughters who also play with Barbie dolls and stuff, and sometimes I have to be the character. You have to put on a voice. Like sometimes I'm the dad, and the dad they have like my son has a Spider-Man doll that I come in on. Hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like the little baby Barbies, and I go. And I thought, it's just, kind of a cute little thing playing house and stuff like that. Although it seems like every single time we play house, like they always end up like hurting the Spider-Man character. I'm just kidding. No. Once again, rambling on. Not here to do that. Obviously, if they had a family podcast, that'd be pretty cool. Talk about being a dad. Dad podcast. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. All right. Anyways, they're set to take on Wendy Chu and TNA's Rosemary, which is also, both of those girls themselves seem like they are they have issues. They have issues. Send in those tissues. I'm just kidding. No, but Wendy Chu's match against Jordan Grace at TNA Victory Road. It wasn't bad. She showed a lot of promising. Obviously, nobody right now is probably in the same category as Jordan Grace in terms of professional wrestling on the women's side. Rosemary looks like she could be pretty scrappy. I see Chu and Rosemary picking up the victory here. I wouldn't. Have no idea why you would kind of push the Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley kind of edge a little bit, because you still want Chu and Rosemary to, because they're in collaboration. You got a TNA star, NXT star teaming up. That's just more money. That's just more money. 1,010%. But Tatum Paxley did hop over to the TNA side as well. Maybe she, a lot of fans followed her to WWE NXT. That's kind of the purpose here of back and forth superstars. It was like, oh, Charlie Dempsey from NXT. And then people were like, man, I'm impressed by watching this guy's match. I'm going to tune into NXT on the USA Network every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So, but Lyra Valkyria is super impressive. Man, this girl, she can fly. She can fly. She's great inside the ring. She had a promising future. Had a great start in WWE Monday Night Raw, but we kind of see her come back down to to NXT, which is not like a demotion or anything like that. So I thought think it's kind of cool. She's going out to help her former partner Tatum Paxley, and it should be pretty awesome. Next we have Eddie Thorpe taking on Ashante Adonis. These guys have been kind of back and forth with the ladies, and you're kind of making me look bad just so you can make yourself look good. And obviously, Adonis didn't really like, the Deity Thorpe angle last week. So these guys are going to go at it one-on-one tonight on WWE NXT. Next, we got a no-quarter catch crew going up against Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. I think it's going to be a great match. I definitely think this is a sleeper match for being probably the most entertaining thing on this episode, because you have the no-quarter catch crew. I think it's Tabian Heights, and I don't know if it's going to be Charlie Dempsey. It would make sense if it was Dempsey. It would 1,010%, or against Miles Bourne. I'm not too sure. Javon Evans, that boy bouncy. I definitely love Javon Evans. Become a huge fan of him. Every single match I watch him, can't take your eyes off him. So definitely think he's a great promising superstar that WWE NXT has. Cedric Alexander, obviously, a little more on the older side, but I feel like he could still ball. He could still ball 1,010%. This guy was literally, once when WWE had 205 Live, this guy was like the face of 205 Live. Every single match he was in. And good bookings on pay-per-views. They fought on a couple pay-per-views, which was actually kind of cool. But other than that, after Tuesday Night SmackDown, and it was kind of crazy back in the day, once when I started becoming a wrestling fan once again, after I took a little hiatus, because I was like, yeah. As soon as I fell in love with wrestling, I was like, man, why did I ever leave? That's crazy. Contract signing tonight, we have Trick Williams, Ethan Page. Will we see Joe Hendry tonight? I don't think so. I think Joe Hendry's probably going to be off of NXT until, I want to say, it would make sense for him to make an appearance on the first episode of the CW. That would make so much sense because he's a huge star, and I feel like NXT's they're going to need that. Trying to sell out stadiums, and not stadiums, but trying to sell out venues and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely think 1,010%. This contract signing will end with somebody probably being thrown through a table. Classic WWE. Who's it going to be? It was Ethan Page's turn last week. I think this week you're going to see Ethan Page kind of get the better of Trick Williams. I think, you kind of owe it to Ethan that much, just so like when people go into this match, there's still like a back and forth discourse of like, hey, maybe Ethan Page could actually do it. But as of right now, Trick Williams just looks like he has all the momentum in the world. He can't be stopped, and Ethan Page is going to be at his mercy. And I kind of hope it doesn't. It's not one of those matches where I hope this match exceeds probably like 8 minutes, the shortest. I think I think they kind of owe it to their two top superstars to kind of go at it and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't wait. All right, guys, next, our third segment, we're going to talk about an Alexa Bliss return. We're going to talk about some of the updates that I've read online, some potential storylines, some potential bookings. Will she wind up in the Wyatt Six? It could happen. So, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about like 20 seconds.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. I'm getting some of my, timings confused. I feel even though I haven't been on the East Coast for such a long time, like it's crazy to think like, oh, somebody's like 3 hours ahead of us, or over there in Europe, they're like 8 to 10 hours. Like it's trippy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy how some people are waking up right now and it's morning, and you're just like, what the heck? That's crazy. But anyways, yeah. So make sure you tune into the wrestling show, the GSMC Wrestling Show, with your favorite wrestling fan of all time, Eric Rodriguez. I'm just kidding. Moving on. So just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We had my WWE NXT preview. It's happening right now. Can't wait to watch it. It's gonna be awesome as heck. So now we're gonna talk about Alexa Bliss and her possible return. I read a couple of articles. Some updates and stuff like that. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat, whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you've been dying to get off your chest. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are absolutely all ears 1,010% of the time. This show is all about keeping the conversation going, keeping the party lively, you know what I mean? Making sure your voice feels heard and part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed, why not use that super chat? It's a $sign below that chat box. Send in your message, and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network. Obviously, your guys' support means a lot to us. Your super chats help us keep the lights on in terms of bringing you even more awesome sports content. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep the party going. Let's make this podcast together bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super, super duper awesome. And let's make for, a pretty awesome podcast. Once again, if the super chat is not your thing, hit up the gsmcpodcast.net, the tips and donations link. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your hot takes in terms of professional wrestling. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show and follow the network. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. So, if you do have criticism, it happens. Feedback is a gift. All in all, don't be afraid. Just remember your thoughts are obviously always appreciated. And I look forward to hearing you guys' the chats and stuff like that. So, yeah, don't be shy. Just do it. Make it like Nike and just do it. Just kidding. No, that seemed a little peer pressure-ish. All right. Not here to do that. All right, guys. So we're here to talk about Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss. When is she coming back to the WWE? Like I said, I read a couple of articles and it's still unsure. It's still unsure. I feel like WWE is missing out on what Alexa Bliss truly brings to a wrestling brand. To either show she would be on, on WWE SmackDown, you kind of saw, a lot of the Wyatt Six, kind of memorabilia behind Nick Aldis during his interview. And also when they were talking to, was it Bianca Belair? Could have been Bianca Belair. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. She just brings so much to the table. And, I can see her coming back as a total baby face. Everyone's going to go absolutely nuts. And, another thing that kind of, could spark interest, an interesting debate is, will she join the Wyatt Six? After being part of a stable with Bray Wyatt, essentially kind of being, she kind of turned on him. And then, the whole match with Randy, it was a little funky. It was a little out of this world, but it was just something different. That's the reason why a lot of the people love this Fiend character, the Firefly Funhouse with Bray Wyatt. I know I'm a huge Bray Wyatt fan. Definitely. The moment he came out, the whole Swamp thing and what is it, Cabin Fever, I think it was based off of that horror movie. I digged it. You know what I mean? Then you had Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, then you had Braun Strowman. Like these guys are big dudes. These guys are giant dudes, and they're over here they're doing whatever they want on Monday Night Raw. They're beating up John Cena. I remember, growing up, I was like, why just leave Cena alone. Leave him alone. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't that crazy. I actually wasn't the biggest John Cena fan, to be honest. I was, I would hate it whenever he beat Triple H. I hated it when he teamed up with Shawn Michaels. I was like, Shawn Michaels could be super sweet chin music right in John Cena's face. And it was, it was all right. It was decent. Definitely decent. I got a chat from Anthony Mazzano. What are your thoughts on my last 3 comments? Oh, I haven't gotten any comments. Let me see if something is Zamata. No, so far I just got that one comment. That's strange. That's super strange. Hopefully, like recently, here in Southern California, had wildfires for longest time. I was actually out of commission. Didn't have a show for Thursday and Friday because of the Wi-Fi was messed up because of these dang forest fires, and it kind of sucked. It messed up my Wi-Fi, man. Spectrum, man. Spectrum. Living in California, you know what I mean? Anyways, so I think it just makes sense. At this point, it just makes sense that Alexa Bliss, I don't really feel like she has any other angle to kind of go toward except for kind of going back to what the Wyatt Six were kind of doing. It's my idea is that she comes back as a babyface. She kicks ass, she takes names, and then eventually she starts to be stalked by Bo Dallas and becomes a target. Eventually, she gives in. She becomes part of the Wyatt Six. And only if Nikki Cross is truly, Sister Abigail or Abby the Witch, and you guys all saw Alexa Bliss had that doll that she carried around so damn much. I can see Nikki Cross kind of being like a sidekick, kind of being her doll, someone that she always wants to protect. If you watch AEW Dynamite, kind of the storyline they had with Tony Storm and Mariah May, where Mariah May was like Tony Storm's baby. Every single time she was in trouble, she would be like, hey, don't touch my baby and stuff like that. Okay, now I got a question right here from my man. When we get to Strowman and hold on, let's see. Something is actually we get to Strowman and Reed. Do you think the batch is going to be the first blood last man standing match, 3 stages of hell for these Titans? I would love to see that. I would love to see a 3 stages of hell come back to WWE because I'm an Attitude Era guy. I peaked in the late '90s, early 2000s, and I loved WWE 1010%. I feel like these guys fighting that bad blood seems like it makes sense. They need to have a match, and I feel like it's going to kind of be surfaced. I think it's going to be surfaced inside of a Hell in a Cell. That would be crazy. That locking these two monsters, these two titans, as you mentioned before, inside. That would be crazy. 3 stages of hell. That would be thinking of the match. Number one match would probably be a Hell in a Cell. Maybe I doubt they would ever bring back the First Blood match, but that'd be pretty cool. These guys, this has to come to an end. And I think on Monday Night Raw, I don't think that's gonna, that's gonna, come to an end. The First Blood match would be pretty badass. Last man standing seems like, right after the Hell in a Cell match, after they've gone through those first 2 stages, and then then they have to, declare a winner. That would be pretty crazy. That would be pretty crazy. And also get a chat for NXT. I understand that it's Randy's hometown, but if he loses to Evans, do you think this is slowly going to turn him into a sadistic Viper persona? Randy Orton, on when he goes to St. Louis, Missouri, that's NXT's second, I believe, second live, well, not live episode, but inside the arena and stuff like that. I think Randy Orton, I definitely think he has a heel turn in his back pocket. I definitely feel like because that's just who Randy is. That's just who Randy is. And right now on SmackDown, baby faces are running rampant. Absolutely running rampant. The LA Knight, babyface. Andrade, babyface. Carmelo Hayes, although he kind of plays the cocky, kind of conceited guy, people still like him. Like if you see Carmelo Hayes on Friday Night SmackDown and he's coming to the ring, going down the ramp, he's still shaking hands with the WWE universe, and I think that's kind of cool. The only true heel right now they have is Solo Sikoa on the Bloodline. So it'd be kind of cool to kind of see Randy Orton, maybe kind of, people are expecting Kevin Owens to, to be the person to attack Cody Rhodes. what if it's Randy? Like, what if it's Randy? 1,010%. What if he, ends up, attacking his Cody Rhodes? Obviously, he's learned a lot from Randy, so I don't think Cody Rhodes would be too surprised that Randy Orton would become a sadistic Viper persona once again. And I think that would be I think that'd be beneficial for SmackDown. Definitely, I believe that 1,010%. He's better as a heel. What can I say? Like, you loved it whenever Triple H turned face, but when he was a heel, you just love to hate him, and when he's a babyface, you just love to love him. That's something that Randy Orton, I feel like he kind of has. I think we were talking about it yesterday with Anthony right here. We were talking about like how Stone Cold Steve Austin and Roman Reigns, they were in babyface spots, but they never really pandered to the crowd. And you haven't seen Orton really do that since I think a couple of weeks ago when he was with Gunther, and it was crazy to see. You watch that promo. I always assume Randy Orton, he doesn't give an F about like if you love him or you hate him. Doesn't matter. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna get his WWE Championship always on his mind. And I think Randy Orton also he has a heel turn in him, and he also has a WWE major title run. I feel like left in him, and it'd be kind of cool to kind of see that happening. All right, so a lot of people are expecting Alexa Bliss to return with the debuting Wyatt Six, but it never happened. It never happened. People were expecting to see him, Uncle Howdy instead of Nikki Cross. Maybe you had Alexa Bliss instead, or have both of them. Nowadays, with the WWE Women's Division having a tag team title, it's possible for these two girls to run hell, run rampant. Um, so many anticipated returns for WWE Women's Superstars in the division. Think about we have Charlotte Flair, we got Asuka, Becky Lynch. She's not injured, but she's people are expecting her to come back as well, and also the debut of Stephanie McCoy from the CMLL. The former New Japan Professional Wrestling Women's Strong Champion. So I think Alexa, she has a lot to kind of compete with here. She's been out on maternity leave since 2023, which is kind of cool. God bless. Hopefully everything's happy and healthy with her family. That's obviously comes first. It was rumored that she would be returning at SummerSlam, but WWE reported that still they had health concerns for Alexa Bliss. Also, they kind of didn't want to steal that thunder from the original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns to make his return against and take out Solo Sikoa. Although I really honestly wouldn't think that it would make such a difference, and it would have made sense because Ohio's her home state. I think she's from Cleveland or Cincinnati. I'm not too sure. But that, her debut on SummerSlam made a lot of sense. Made a lot of sense. It was kind of crazy that it didn't happen, as a matter of fact. She could still make a return as a Wyatt Six, 1,010%. Don't doubt that whatsoever. After the feud with American Made, Nikki Cross needs a feud. She's not going to feud with Ivy Nile anymore. Like I said, maybe Alexa Bliss comes back as his babyface, kind of like this old Twisted Bliss kind of persona, being like, oh, I'm on this kind of on the lighter side. I don't want to let my demons get ahead of me like what happened last time I was in the WWE. And then she's stalked by Nikki Cross. Kind of, like I said, kind of this feud where Uncle Howdy feels like he has to convert Alexa Bliss to join his crew like she did his brothers. Fightful Select suggests that, that so far they've heard no plan to bring back Alexa Bliss right now on television. And I know it kind of sucks, but, definitely playing the factor well. I definitely like how WWE's being definitely patient. I believe that, that's the right move. And she could possibly make a return at NXT. I'm not too hot about the idea. I'm not too hot about it, 1,010%. But someone like a star-studded Alexa Bliss being on NXT would do so good. Would so damn good inside the women's division. Her and Roxanne Perez could, kind of tear down the house, so to speak. So I believe that could definitely happen. Also on NXT, you have Tatum Paxley, Rosemary, Wendy Chu, all these people with twisted, dark demeanors that could, maybe couldn't play into a part too. Like that could happen as well. So, maybe like she comes and she debuts in NXT and she tries to take out Kaylani Jordan and kind of become the next or the new NXT North American Women's Champion, which would be cool. Which would be, she deserved it. Which would be, people wouldn't be like, oh, since she debuted, they basically kissed her ass and was like, oh, we'll give her a title. We'll give her a title. No, no, Alexa Bliss, she's a successful persona inside of WWE. She has all the accolades you can possibly think of. So 1,010%, this girl, whatever, she's a former Raw, former Women's SmackDown. She's Women's Tag Team Champions, second champion with I think it was. No, I think Asuka was after Nikki Cross. I'm not too sure. She's a women's Money in the Bank. She's won first ever women's Elimination Chamber match. Maybe she makes a return at Royal Rumble. Maybe, possibly, that could possibly be a thing. But overall, like the fans are waiting on pins and needles for Alexa Bliss to return to WWE. But right now, WWE is still kind of holding off, making sure this return lives up to the hype because Alexa, she deserves it. She deserves it. All right, moving on. We have our fourth segment. We got Mercedes Mone receiving special treatment in AEW. We're going to talk about it when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here, your favorite wrestling fan, talking wrestling Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time on the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure you tune in. We talk about everything, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain rumors, dramas. We also talk about superstar injury and inactivity. Statuses. We also talk about contract extension, negotiations, also, perhaps new signings. From AEW to WWE to TNA to Ring of Honor to even NWA, NLW to GCW. If it makes major news, wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the show. So make sure you tune in. Even if you're a new wrestling fan, honestly, a show like this could definitely be a great place to start. I actually know a couple of other stuff that I watch on YouTube as well. A lot of other content creators, and I'm like, oh man, that's actually, it's actually super cool. You know what I mean? Definitely, big fan of professional wrestling. You kind of have to watch everything, to get better at what exactly you like doing. And, talking about professional wrestling, that's what I like doing. That's what I like doing. All right, so we just got done talking about Alexa Bliss's possible return. When is WWE going to pull the trigger, and are they holding off, purposely? Now we're going to get into Mercedes Mone possibly receiving special treatment from AEW. AEW's president Tony Khan. I am not the one to conspiracy theorize, here. Although I know when it comes to professional wrestling, storylines is everything, and a good juicy story, it's cool. You know what I mean? This girl became one of the highest paid women's wrestlers inside the whole industry once when she went to AEW. I'm not trying to say like all pieces kind of add to the puzzle. The crumbs, the rainbow goes to the pot of gold, obviously. But it would make sense. You know what I mean? Like if someone had a contract clause saying that, every event she kind of goes to, she wants her own personal, dressing room or her locker or whatever, you know what I mean? It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility, but a lot of stars, there's a lot of tensions backstage in AEW, and it's not good. And it's not good for your wrestling promotion, especially when, your women's wrestlers are putting on great matches. They're wrestling on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, and on PLEs and stuff like that. They had All In, then 2 weeks later they had All Out. So, these people are working. People are working. So the last thing you want is disgruntled employees definitely, going on the road, traveling with each other with this animosity, maybe a little looming jealousy. And it's just not good. It's just not good 1,010%. So after debuting for AEW, Mercedes Mone was kind of labeled as the company's biggest failure. I I'm not really going to really argue that much about that point. I kind of thought her gimmick in AEW was, kind of bad. I thought it was pretty bad. She came in, she was immediately awarded the TBS championship, immediately awarded the New Japan Women's Strong Championship. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? She definitely, she has the skills inside the ring. Some people say she doesn't have that much skills, but she draws eyes. She draws eyes. She draws attention to the product, which is exactly what Tony Khan was trying to do once when he signed a blockbuster deal with Mercedes Mone. Um, I love her more as a heel. I love her more as a heel. Her as a babyface, I was, buying it a little bit. But, Mercedes Moné, her personality, I feel like actually does reflect on the screen pretty, like, I don't know, kind of likely, kind of, like she's the same person she is inside the ring, like she is behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she has a cocky attitude. You know what I mean? Like, if you're one of the good wrestlers in the industry, I'm not going to say the best. If she was one of the best wrestlers to, kind of be inside the end, maybe I can say the best. She does deserve a contract like this, but I'm not saying she deserves, you know, current, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy because I'm not there. Like me, I am not like an AEW superstar. I'm not in the women's division, so I'm not, I don't travel with them, so I really can't give like like a that great of a, not comparison, that great of a, intellectual conversation, an in-depth analysis about like, hey, like honestly, this kind of sucks, dude. But I don't know. The stories of her being difficult to work with in WWE, the friction inside the locker room that she's receiving special treatment backstage at AEW events. Mercedes Moné is accompanied by her own entourage on every show. I guess take your friends. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see why that would suck that bad. You know what I mean? Kind of comes in, thinking that she's the best thing since sliced bread. Uh, she has her own private locker room. Not everyone has that treatment, and it's kind of rubbed her fellow wrestlers the wrong way. You know what I mean? There's actual tensions between her and Britt Baker. Um, Britt Baker's recent suspension, well, kind of looming, maybe suspended, maybe not suspended before they had the match in Wembley Stadium. There's talks about maybe Britt Baker getting suspended. Obviously, thanks to due to some things that happened backstage. I'm not really going to get into that. Obviously allegations and speculations and stuff like that. But anyway, Britt Baker obviously not a huge fan of Mercedes Moné. Saraya also, not a huge fan, has made her feelings clear about disliking Mercedes Moné, which, Saraya, I don't, she's definitely been a trailblazer in terms of the women's division on WWE. And I can say that, some good things about her in terms of AEW. I think 1,010%, she's great on the roster. Once when you found out that formerly known as Paige is All Elite, Saraya inside of, All Elite Wrestling, it kind of did shake the wrestling world a little bit. Once when you found out that, oh my, I think she was one of the first ones to do it. I think she was one of the first ones to do it when you kind of saw, as a WWE fan, you kind of saw some of these superstars and they're going over to AEW. Then you saw Bryan Danielson, then you saw, John Moxley, and then eventually you would see Mercedes Moné and Claudio Castagnoli. Like, you would see all these guys, all these WWE guys that were really, really good. And then you saw Andrade, and then you saw Aleister Black and Keith Lee and Buddy Matthews, and it's just it tripped me out. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, like AEW is loading up to be pretty badass, man. That's crazy. And they're international, which is, definitely puts the cherry on top. So, Tony Khan hired her, a personal writer, and gave her creative control. Not good. Giant red flag there. Obviously reminds me of Hulk Hogan WCW vibes, where you can choose which creative direction you're going to go through, who's allowed to beat you inside the ring. And it's I don't know, it just kind of, a lot of red flags there. People claim this is exactly why Tony Khan gets pushed around by his AEW talent. Triple H, with his new WWE, obviously stars wouldn't really react this way because there's a sense of, professionalism. But it appears like Tony Khan, perhaps maybe, has possible favorites in AEW. You know what I mean? He did say, Mercedes Mone was the best wrestler in the world, which I don't really agree with, but like I said, she's the greatest wrestler. She's one of the best ones. Yeah, you know what? I came to the sudden realization like 5 minutes ago on this podcast. I was like, you know what? We can call her great. We can call her, we can call her great, but we're not going to call her the absolute best. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It just the whole creative control thing kind of freaks me out. Uh, like I said, Mercedes Mone, should have. I feel like she should have dropped the TBS championship to Britt Baker. You saw the audience's reaction to Baker's, to her return, and obviously, couldn't get the job done. Once again, maybe makes me feel like maybe Tony Khan, talked to Mercedes Mone, and Mercedes Mone was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, I don't, that sucks. I don't want to lose to Britt. Obviously, they have looming, real tension backstage. Obviously, that could lead to a lot of frustrations and stuff like that. I don't know. And there's also possibility that she could be manipulating Tony Khan. They are friends, and Tony Khan has gone above and beyond to help out Mercedes Mone through like family troubles when she was like when she would be filming and like other The Mandalorian, I think it was. It was kind of crazy. He kind of bends backwards to make her happy. And and like I said, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist. She's been reported that she's been separated from her ex-husband since 2020, recently filing for divorce. She's an attractive girl, maybe her and Tony. I'm just kidding. No, we're not here to spread lies and allegations, everybody. But if we were to start today, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But obviously, he has a soft spot for her. Not really surprised. Obviously, one of your, bigger talents. Although, like, I've kind of agreed with, most of what wrestling media has been saying about Mercedes Mone, that, it could be a possibility that she could be a little difficult to work with. Obviously, all these egos inside the room, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, 1,010%. But then you can also, for Mercedes Mone, and be like, you know what, dude? I travel 365 days a year. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know my worth. I'm a star. She's a movie star. She sings, she raps, she acts, she wrestles. Sometimes when you have something like that, yeah, you got to stick up for yourself and be like, you know what? Yeah, I deserve the world. I deserve the world. You know what I mean? If I was as good, or if I was, Mercedes Mone, I know that sounds kind of weird, kind of comparison. I would be like, yeah, dude, I want all the money. I could do it. I have a lot of audience attraction. I have, a lot of people followed me from WWE to New Japan Professional Wrestling. And, what I can bring to AEW is a lot more than just, great wrestling matches. A lot of people hate on her mic skills and her promos, which, I feel like they can always get better. But I feel like when kind of Tony Khan had her as a babyface, maybe it kind of, started off, kind of bad. But now, anything could work. Anything could get better. Maybe this might be a little bit of a reach from backstage talent with AEW. But at the end of the day, you're Mercedes Mone, and Mone talks. Mone, just kidding. All right, moving on to our fifth and final segment. Jump into my DeLorean. I'm going to gun it to 88 miles per hour. We're going to go back in time on Tuesdays today in wrestling history. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Obviously, your favorite wrestling fan. I talk about action inside and outside of the ring. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE to the GCW to the NWA to New Japan Professional Wrestling to CMLF. It makes major news headlines around the world of wrestling. We talk about it here on the show. So, make sure you tune in. It's pretty awesome. So now we're going to talk about Tuesdays today in wrestling history. We're going to talk about some history. We're going to talk about bust out your history books, put on those thinking caps, and just remember once when you watch these. If you're obviously, a little seasoned, a seasoned wrestling veteran, obviously you guys, if you know, you know. If you don't, then it's we're here to educate you. You know what I mean? Talk about some of the stuff we were hyped about back in the day. This was a little before my day, obviously. Back in 1981, Ric Flair defeated Dusty Rhodes in Kansas City, Missouri, to win his first ever NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, that would go on for him to become a 16-time wheeling and dealing, limousine riding, kiss stealing, son of a gun like the Nature Boy Ric Flair. It kind of all started from here. This is when the success happened. This, was the reason why he can create a lot of iconic moments in NWA history. The Jim Crockett promotions that would become WCW, and his feud with Ricky Steamboat as well. All recreated because this moment that the NWA was like, you know what? Let's go and put the strap on this guy. He's gonna bring us to new heights. And so far, he's delivered 1,010%. Ric Flair is, definitely when you think about Ric Flair, you think about wrestling. When you think about wrestling, you think about Ric Flair. So I think that's cool. Obviously, his daughter Charlotte Flair is in the WWE. He had a son. I think his son wrestled in WCW a little bit. I think he did. Don't quote me on that. Obviously, one of them did pass away, and that, obviously, thoughts and prayers, condolences to the Ric Flair family. But, anyways, Ric Flair, was the first one to, win a championship. Dusty Rhodes was not, I don't want to say like the hottest thing since sliced bread, during the NWA at this time, but he was definitely a product brand name. Like he was, people loved him. He was the American dream. We thought about Dusty Rhodes. He's this guy that, worked at a 9 to 5 job, and he'd come home, and have dinner with his family, kiss his kids, and, sing Bible prayers at night and stuff like that. He was kind of this model guy and Ric Flair came along, this young, like I said, this young stud. And this started Ric Flair. Like it's this is how it all started, and it was cool on this day. Back in 1981, back in 1881. Damn, that would be crazy. Anyways, in 1986 at WWF Wrestling Challenge, at a taping, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan formed one of the history's most iconic wrestling commentator teams for the first time. Watching some of the old NWA WWF stuff, I used to watch Monsoon and Bobby the Brain. He didn't obviously, from wrestling fans, sometimes for me, like if I have trouble going to sleep, I'm playing, basically old school wrestling. I'm playing old school wrestling, all the stuff from the Attitude Era, from the Golden Era, also, and maybe sometimes with like a Hulk Hogan and the whole Andre the Giant thing, which is actually pretty badass. I definitely like that, But right now I've actually been on this kick of, who destroyed WCW, and I think I can honestly probably do a whole episode on just opinions about who destroyed WCW, but I don't know. Anyways, moving on. So obviously, you think about iconic announce teams. For me, it was Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross. It was Michael Cole and Jim Ross. Michael Cole and Taz was cool. It was all right. Vince McMahon and Jim Ross, that was pretty cool. I liked Vince McMahon as a commentator. I got to be honest. When he was young, obviously before all the crazy stuff happened. Back when he was good. I'm just kidding. No, he had a very iconic voice, and obviously he was still working. He was working for his dad under the promotion and stuff like that. But overall, the most important thing about professional wrestling is you need to have that voice that brings you basically dead center inside the ring. That's the reason why people love Jim Ross. That's the reason why people love Michael Cole right now. Joey Styles in ECW was good. Remember Mauro Ranallo. You could talk, and you could also relate to this if you're a UFC fan as well. Like Joe Rogan, be like, "Oh my God, he just got rocked!" Like it's iconic. It gets you. It gets you to stand up off your seat, and it gets you to like Joe Buck. And if it's not wrestling, you can think about sports, like in baseball, the World Series. When you'd hear Joe Bucks, now he's on Monday Night Football with Troy Aikman. Also, when you hear Al Michaels on Sunday Night Football with Peacock, but now he's on Prime Video. There's a lot of iconic, voices that just brings you into the action, and it's awesome. It's awesome. 1,010%. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby the Brain Heenan did it, and yeah, they're one of the best to do it. In 1995, Asheville, North Carolina played host to a fall brawl headlined by the iconic WCW gimmick match WarGames. The team of Hulk Hogan, Sting, Lex Luger, and Macho Man Randy Savage. Damn, that is an all-star team for wrestling back then. That's crazy. Damn. Obviously defeated Dungeon of Doom, a team made up of Zodiac and Kamala. Mang also, Mang, what is that? Mang the Shark. Also, Luger was the last minute replacement for Vader, who had left WCW a week prior. On that undercard, you had the Harlem Heat defeat the Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater to win the WCW Tag Team Championships. I love myself some WCW, but staring at these guys across the ring, I bet the other team was kind of DOA the moment the match started. That's crazy. War Games, now it's part of WWE. That's crazy. All right, back in 2000, the final WCW Fall Brawl event, amassed from Buffalo, New York. A lackluster event was headlined by Booker T winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in a steel cage match against Kevin Nash. I remember, once when Booker T was in WCW, he was so good. He was so good. Eventually, it would kind of translate to WWE after they kind of trusted him a little bit, and they're like, you know what? Let's give this guy who's kind of stuck longer than all the other WCW guys after we buried him. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. 1,010%. So Kevin Nash as well. He was also a huge. He was basically a huge pillar inside of the WCW. Kind of made it what it was and why it was so popular. All right, so in 2001, a WWE Tag Team title change occurred on Monday Night Raw at the Gaylord Entertainment Center in Nashville, Tennessee. The Dudley Boys snared the belts from Kane and The Undertaker, which is badass. I was a huge Dudley Boys fan. I loved it. My version of amazing tag team matches. Think of Dudley Boys, Hardys, Edge, and Christian. I know it might sound cheesy, but obviously, I hope a lot of you guys could relate to me. These two guys, whenever they're inside the ring, it was magic. The Dudley Death Drop and the Devon Get the Tables. They had catchphrases. They have so many marketable, abilities inside WWE, and they definitely lived up to the hype every single match they got. Obviously, if WWE creative was like, you know what, let's put these two behemoths, the Brothers of Destructions, let's put the belts on them. These guys are never, ever going to lose. And then they lost against two brothers of themselves. You know what I mean? Two brothers in arms, Devon Dudley and Bubba Ray Dudley, who were one of the, two of the best tag team superstars I've seen in my whole entire life. I loved their chemistry inside the ring. Definitely really felt like these guys were brothers and they knew exactly what they were thinking. And that's the reason why WWE became, or WWF, I think it was WWF back in the day. And, obviously I know, but like during the 2020, 2001, when the iconic WrestleMania match was pretty badass. Man, these guys had a lot of good matches. A lot of good matches. I hated it once when, they decided to break them up. And then once when, I saw Bully Ray in TNA, I was like, dude, like it sucks. Come back to WWE. Before I was a TNA fan. Obviously, that was one of the big reasons why I jumped to TNA. Bully Ray was there. Also, Kurt Angle was kicking ass, Sting, the whole Jeff Jarrett thing, and Jim Cornette, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Chris Sabin. There was a lot of dudes back in that day, man. Damn it. What was it? Freaking 2007? I think it was 2007. Yeah, 2007, man. These guys were I know it was crazy. 1,010%. TNA was rocking it, man. But all in all, the Dudley Boys was probably the best team to fight and to dethrone Kane and the Undertaker. So got to throw preps to my boys right there. All right, so oh, why is this acting all funky? Okay, here we go. In 2005, at Ring of Honor Glory by Honor for in Long Island, New York, Bryan Danielson returned to Ring of Honor after a months long of hiatus and defeated James Gibson for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Would love to go on and on about talking about how cool and how good Bryan Danielson is, but running out of time rapidly here, guys. I got 4 minutes to wrap this up. Let's. Damn it! I would love to talk about a lot of these other things too, but it's time. It is time. In 2011, Ring of Honor hosted Death Before Dishonor 9 at Manhattan Center in New York City. The main event was a ladder match, in which the All Night Express, Ray Titus and Kenny King defeated Jay and Mark Briscoe to win a future Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship shot. Sorry, excuse me. Mark Briscoe is one of my favorite wrestlers. I definitely love him. Definitely love watching him on the TV. Sad what happened to his brother. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to his brother as well. To his brother, to the family and stuff like that. So. All right, in 2006, and I don't know why the graphic kind of did that, where it kind of ended up. Anyways, the WWE Unforgiven took place in Toronto, Canada. The main event saw John Cena defeating Edge to win the WWE Championship in the first one-on-one TLC match. It was also the only event that featured a TLC match and a Hell in a Cell match on the same card. In the Hell in a Cell, you saw Triple H, Shawn Michaels defeat Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and their enforcer, The Big Show, in a handicap match, which was awesome, which is amazing. Definitely, those are my guys right there. D-Generation X, they're on my Mount Rushmore of complete badasses in life, of, complete awesome wrestlers and stuff like that. So, gotta throw respects to my boys right there. So, yeah. All right, guys, gotta wrap this up. Rapidly running out of time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have all other sports podcasts. So go ahead and check them out. Basketball, football. 2 football ones, actually. We have it's all over, guys. It's all over the place. You know what I mean? The bunch of good dudes. Definitely, I love and respect them 1,010%. I learned from them from watching their shows. We got fantasy sports that I became a huge fan of. My boy Chris Shepard. Obviously, need help with my fantasy team because it's dying. It's dying. I'm just kidding. No, but no, actually, I'm sucking. It sucks. But moving on. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. Like always, stay beautiful and love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't